Okie dokie, we should be live. We should be live. Saturday night, thought I'd fire up a quick live stream, talk a bit of boxing and whatnot. Don't really plan on being on for too long, but just a quick little chat. You know, you guys know how it is. Let me just start this up 1 second. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Open that. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just talk some boxing for an hour or so. Nothing too crazy. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Got some UFC tonight as well, obviously. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, the rematch. Looking forward to that. Probably won't stay up for it. I'll watch it tomorrow, but it's a good fight. It's a good little card, actually, to be honest. Big up to Big Dan. The biggest of the Dans has arrived because it's a boring Saturday with nothing to do. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. I know how you feel. It sucks right now. It really does. But yeah, I'm interested in the UFC. But yeah, not enough to stay up for it. Put it that way. Put it that way. Yeah, January's been really, really dry for boxing. Sorry, we've had Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell. That was a great fight. But that was the start of the month. We've really not had anything since. Been a bit shit, to be honest with you. It's been a bit shit. Yeah, Dan Hooker's on tonight as well, Big Boys Boxing. Dan Hooker versus Michael Chandler. I actually expect Dan Hooker to win, to be honest. I think he's gonna win that fight by knockout. I really do. Much better on the feet, in my opinion, Dan Hooker. And he can punch. He can really, really punch. So it's that's going to be a good little fight while it lasts. But I think Dan Hooker wins it. Big up to Timmy Nealon. Brennan Smith, let's go Conor McGregor. I think he'll win, but I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of rooting for Dustin Poirier. I can't lie. Yes, big up to Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News. Big up B Word, that means dog. Yes, sir. Big up to Unrivaled every single time. Every single time. Hopefully you're doing well, bro. Yeah, man. He's a real tough dude. Dan Hooker. Tough Kiwi. Tough guy, man. He's fun to watch as well. His fight with Dustin Poirier it was a brilliant fight in itself. One of the best fights I saw last year in all of combat sports. Genuinely, really good fight. Really good fight. AA Boxing and Blunts just heard that Christopher Lovejoy is definitely off that char card. He'll be fighting in Mexico on January 30th instead. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I was looking forward to Bermain Stavern versus Christopher Lovejoy. We would have done a full 20-minute preview breakdown prediction for that fight. I was looking forward to it. But I think he would have got knocked out. Genuinely, I really do. I think Bermain Stavern would have knocked him out. That's how bad Christopher Lovejoy is. But yeah, he'll fight in Mexico against a nobody, and he'll pad that record further until he gets a payday. That's his goal, really. That's his goal. Big up to Simon Coulthard, respect to the channel with regards from Brighton. Yes, sir. Chris Eubank, senior country, Brighton. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Big up to Adam. Big up to G-Man, as always. Every single time. 20 euros on McGregor KO rounds 3 is plus 800. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I think McGregor's going to do it relatively early on. I've got second round stoppage by McGregor. That's what I've got. Big Boys wants to see McGregor get smashed. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that, mate. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I like Dustin Poirier a lot. I think he's a good dude, man. Good fighter as well. Fun fighter. But Conor's good, man. Conor's good. Conor's good, man. But yeah, the Conor McGregor ring walk time, I believe, is about 5 a.m. UK time and Irish time. About 5 a.m. So it's a late one. It's a late one. Hooker versus Felder and Hooker versus Poirier, both last year, both top 5 MMA fights of 2020. Yeah, Dan Hooker's a real fighter, man. He'll come to bring it. Very fun fighter. Like I said, got power. He's good at the stand-up. He'll come to bang. Big up to MMA champ. What is Don King doing for that boy besides stopping him getting fights? Your guess is as good as mine, bro. Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, Rungvisai's back, I believe, in March, indeed. Yep. Very good to see him back active. And obviously he's in a good position with the WBC. So maybe he'll fight the winner of Chocolatito versus Estrada 2. He's in a good position right now, just needs to win his fight. And yeah, he could get another title shot, which would be good. MMA champ, he's also going for Poirier or supporting Poirier. I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you. But Main Stavern is still on the card. Maybe Lovejoy's looking for a real challenge in Mexico. Yeah, big up to Christopher Lovejoy. He's searching for Mexico's finest in the heavyweight division. But yeah, honestly, man, I genuinely believe the Main Stavern would knock out Christopher Lovejoy. As much as we joke about Stavern, he was a real fighter at one point, had some amateur pedigree, was a world champion for better or worse, and he's actually fought good competition. He's been there or thereabouts kind of thing. He would have knocked out Christopher Lovejoy because Lovejoy is terrible, man. More than likely. He says Lovejoy only has until May on deal. Then he'll join Eddie. Yeah, I could see that happening. You could see Lovejoy getting shipped over to the UK to get fed to one of these matchroom heavyweights like Fabio Wardley, for example. I could see that happening. Do you know what, Unrivaled? I wouldn't call you crazy. I would take Areola in that fight. No question. Easy. Areola by knockout, easy. Jesus. I think Brennan's the only one who's rooting for Conor in this fight so far. Yeah, I've just gone off Conor McGregor, to be honest with you. I liked him when he first came on the scene, but he overdid it for me a little bit. He overdid it a bit. But, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. And he can very well win this fight. In fact, I think he will do, to be honest. I think he's going to be a bit too precise with that left hand. He's very surgical with it in the cage. And Dustin's a stand-up guy anyway, so I think McGregor's going to get him out of there, to be honest. I really do. Yeah, but I can see that. I can see that, AA. I can see that. Oh, Unrivaled's going for Conor. Big up to Mad Chad. Yeah, he is indeed MMA champ. He is indeed. That's a good fight, Big Boys Boxing. Michael Polite Coffee versus Damani Rock. Yeah, very good fight. Great, like you said, a great unbeaten prospect fight. Michael Polite Coffee, a late starter in boxing. He can punch hard. He's physically strong. Damani Rock, very skilled. Started boxing quite early. He was actually well thought of in the US as an amateur, but he's not been tested. And he's a fat guy as well. You wonder where that guy's dedication is. It's a great test for both guys. I think Damani Rock is the more naturally talented guy out of the two, but maybe Michael Polite Coffee is more of a natural fighter, the guy who trains harder, the guy who takes it more serious. That's a good fight. That's on the Caleb Plant card. That's a good fight. It's a good fight. Yeah, I think it's a good fight as well, Michael Van Gerwen. I've got Dan Hooker, though. I think Dan Hooker's going to do him out. Conor, do me proud and get submitted. Oh dear. Big up to Hawker Mustang every single time. Nice to see you here, bro. Nice to see you drop by, man. Yeah, that's I actually believe Castano's going to win that relatively comfortably. Teixeira is a big, tall guy for the weight, but he doesn't really use his reach. He likes to get involved, work the body. He'll sit on the ropes. He'll trade with you. And against a guy like Castano, I think that's going to be the wrong tactics. I really do. I honestly believe Castano is the best inside fighter at 154. I really do. And I don't think Teixeira has the discipline. Not that, yeah, I guess he doesn't have a discipline to fight that kind of fight against Castano, where he keeps it on the outside, where he keeps him at arm's length. He's going to try and trade, and he'll get, and Castano's going to get the better of him, in my opinion. It's a good fight, though. It's a good fight. Castano proved a lot in, sorry, not Castano. Teixeira proved a lot in that fight with Carlos Adames. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen that fight, Patrick Teixeira versus Carlos Adames, watch that fight. Really good fight. I actually thought Adames was going to win it. I really did. I thought Adames was going to win. So listen, Teixeira's proved me wrong before. So you never know. You never know. By the way, big up to Matt as well for the super chat. Good evening, mate. Hopefully all is well your end. Yeah, going well, man. Going well. Hopefully, the spring coming up is going to be extremely. Things are going to be looking up, I'm hoping. So, yeah, we've got some things to look forward to, Matt. We've got some things to look forward to. Next month or so is going to be a bit tough, bit tricky. But, yeah, it's not going too bad. There's light at the end of the tunnel, is what I'm trying to say. Which is always good, man. It's always good. Dana White got rid of crack streams, didn't he? I don't think Dana understands that there's millions of streams, laugh out loud. Yeah, Dana White is Dana White, any. He's a bit of a boomer, old Dana White. Oh dear. Dear oh dear. Yeah, exactly. It's that sort of shit, AA, when he starts throwing hands at pensioners. Yeah. Like he kind of became a caricature of himself, really, Conor McGregor. You know, like when he was trash talking Jose Aldo back in the day, like that shit was funny. It was effective, and it got to Jose Aldo, and he knocked him out. Like Conor McGregor, his shtick has kind of got tired for me. That's how I see it. Ortiz versus Ruiz, who wins? I would lean towards Ruiz, but it's a hard fight in my opinion for both guys. But I would lean towards Ruiz just because he's fresher. Just because he's fresher. Exactly. Hit the likes, you stingy mofos. Exactly. You tell them, big boys boxing. You tell them. You tell them, man. Wardley versus Babbage, battle of a white stable to be interesting. Yeah, that'd be a good fight. I'd watch that fight. I'd watch that fight. Do you know what? I think I might favor. Fabio Wardley in that fight. I'm really not high on Babbage whatsoever. I think David Price would knock out Alan Babbage. To be honest, I really do. I think he'll do a similar job on Babbage to what he did on Dave Allen. He'll keep him behind the jab, walk him into big shots, and take him out. But Babbage actually gets knocked out. He doesn't get fucking carried out. Or you know what I mean? He'll get knocked out. Unrivalled's not happy. He's not having it. Yeah, I agree, Mad Chad. I agree. I've got Castano as well. He's going to bring that heat. He's a great inside fighter, man, Brian Castano. It's been a shame that he's not been as active as he should be, because his fight with Lara proved to me that he can operate at that level. It's a shame they never, to be honest, it's a shame they never rematched Lara and Castano. But yeah, he's a very good fighter. Yeah, that's tonight as well. Leo versus Fulton. Do you know what? I totally forgot to make a prediction on that one. I was feeling Stephen Fulton all the way through, but now I'm not sure. I've been watching more of Angelo Leo, and I'm not sure now, I'll be honest. I'm going to sit out on making a pick on that fight. I'm going to sit out. It's going to be a pretty competitive fight, though. It's going to be pretty competitive. He did indeed, Mad Chad. Yeah, he beat Errol Spence Jr. in the amateurs. Brian Castano, he did, yeah. And he beat Derevianchenko in the World Series of Boxing, indeed, yeah. That, by the way, that fight's on YouTube. Castano versus Derevianchenko. Worth a watch. I'm telling you, Castano can really fight. He's a master fighter on the inside. He really is. Very good fighter. And he could even give Jamel Charlo some problems if he gets on the inside. I think Jamel beats him, but it's a risky fight. It's a risky fight. I like Castano. I think he's a real threat. I really do. Yeah, Dana White is what he is, man. He's good at what he does, man, but he's a bit... Yeah. Big up to Marcy D, by the way. Big up to Marcy D. Interesting, big boys boxing. Interesting. I shall duly note that. Or duly note it. Ruiz Jr. will retire Wilder this year. Hopefully we see it, man. Obviously, Wilder's going to come back. He's going to fight Charles Martin more than likely. He'll knock him out. And hopefully towards the end of the year, we get that big fight. Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Deontay Wilder. It's a good fight. It really is. And the winner of that fight would be in a great position to fight for a title again. See, that's the sort of fight the PBC should really be pushing. Wilder versus Ruiz. Ruiz versus Ortiz. These sort of fights. These are all good fights. Make them happen. But, you know, these guys are going to get their tune-up fights and they'll fuck about. We'll see what happens with Wilder. Goulamarian versus Riyad Mary, who wins? I've got Goulamarian, MMA champ. Riyad Mary's okay, but I think he's European level. The Belgian guy. Yeah, he's European level, I would say. Who should McGregor fight next if he wins tonight? I mean, I guess the fight they're going to push is Khabib. And, that fight makes a lot of sense financially. People would want to see it, but I don't think he wins that fight. Unless he lands like a Hail Mary kick or a Hail Mary punch, he can't beat Khabib. So, like, who? I don't know, maybe Conor McGregor versus. Maybe Jorge Masvidal would be a good option for McGregor at this point. Just a one-off big pay-per-view fight. Masvidal. That'd do mad business. Conor versus Masvidal. Maybe like a catch weight or something like that. Say what you want about McGregor, but he does fight the best. Holloway, Aldo, Khabib, Mendes, Poirier, Alvarez, Diaz. Yeah, you can't dispute that, Carlos. That is true. He does have a very good resume. Even the wins on his resume, some of those wins are pretty impressive. I know people always bring up the Khabib fight and the DS2 fight, but he's got some good wins, Conor McGregor. He really does. Like Jose Aldo was basically considered number one pound for pound when Conor knocked him out. So he's got some very good wins, Conor. Indeed, he's not. I'm telling people, bro. I'm telling people he's a very good fighter. He's a very good fighter. Babich reminds me of every white collar fighter just watches Mike Tyson clips instead of training. Yeah, exactly, bro. He comes to bring it. He'll throw a lot of punches, but there's no head movement. There's no real jab. There's no great foot movement or defense or anything, man. He's there to be hit. David Price is bigger, taller, longer, better jab, better technical skills, better amateur. I think David Price would beat Alan Babich. I really do. I think he'll expose him. You see how this guy's getting clipped by the likes of fucking Tom Little, who can't punch for Tom Little can't punch for toffee, and he was landing flush on Alan Babich. What if that's David Price? But by the way, Alan Babich is barely 200 pounds as a heavyweight, barely. So once Pricey lands on that chin with that big right hand, Babich is toast, in my opinion. I think he gets knocked out. I really do. It's interesting though, isn't it? We'd all watch it. It's interesting. Why not make it? See, I can't see it, Mad Chad. I think Andy Ruiz Jr. is one of these fighters right now who, how do I put it? I think post Joshua, he's been extremely overrated by one set of fans, like the Joshua fans, and he gets extremely underrated by the anti-Joshua fans. Like he's a good, solid heavyweight who has a lot more potential than he's shown. But I don't believe Andy Ruiz Jr. would ever be the man, even if he's in shape. But I think he's a good fighter. He could be like a genuine top 5 contender, but I don't think Andy Ruiz Jr. would ever be the man, even if he took it seriously. Just my opinion. But there we go. But hopefully he gets in shape because we need to see that. We want to see Andy in these fights against Wilder and whatnot. Do you know what, Timmy? Right now, I am still on the fence, and I basically always make predictions. I know I bottled it on Leo versus Fulton, but I'm still on the fence in regards to that fight right now. I might be leaning towards Estrada, but not in any real way. I could change my mind tomorrow, kind of thing. But it's a brilliant fight. First fight was amazing. Both of those guys are a credit to the sport. Estrada's one of my favorites in boxing, period. Like, he reminds me of Juan Manuel Marquez, beautiful counterpuncher. He just makes boxing look so easy, like nothing phases him. Brilliant fighter. And as we know, Roman Gonzalez, absolute fucking G. So that fight's amazing, but I might lean towards Estrada in the slightest way. It's a hard fight to call, though. If PBC wants to be relevant, they need to make Charlo versus Plant and Wilder versus Usyk. Yeah, Charlo versus Plant, really good fight. Or you could have Plant versus Benavidez as well. Wilder versus Usyk, I don't really see it being realistic. I don't think Usyk would risk his position right now against Wilder, to be honest. He would against Joe Joyce because there could be an interim on the line, but I don't think that fight is realistic per se. I would say Wilder versus I would say Wilder versus Ruiz personally. I think that's the fight for him towards the end of the year. That's what I would say anyway. But again, I would love to see Wilder versus Usyk. It's a sick fight. Yeah, I agree. MMA champ, same sort of result, submission. Conor gets fucking mauled again. Conor's toughest fights are Oliveira, Khabib, and Hooker in the lightweight division anyway. Yeah, Dan Hooker could be a real hard fight because the guy's got the chin. He's got a brilliant, brilliant chin. He's extremely durable. He's going to get hit by McGregor, but if McGregor can't take him out, you could see Dan Hooker taking McGregor out down the stretch. You know what I mean? That could be a very good fight. Could be a very good fight. How do you see the Wilder story ending? He is 35, turning 36, injury-ridden, and seems to have a horrible mentality. He hasn't got the boxing ability to fall back on, and his athleticism leaves him either... So, hang on, I've lost where I was now. Do you mean leaves him open? Yeah. So, to be honest with you, Matt, I doubt Deontay Wilder will ever become a world champion again. No, I take that back. I doubt Deontay Wilder ever wins a significant fight against a top 5 opponent again. I'll say that much. I think Deontay can be manoeuvred to be in a good position post undisputed. So, you know, Charles Martin, for example, he's highly ranked in the IBF. Deontay Wilder knocks him out. He's in a real good position in that sanctioning body. The PBC can definitely position this guy to fight for a title again, but you know, I just don't see this guy having the ability, the skill set to really beat the top dudes. It's a hard one, man. He's got the power. You know, if he lands clean, he can knock these guys out. But like you say, his mentality right now, to me, just it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right, and I can't bet on somebody like that. I just don't like what I've been hearing from Deontay Wilder. I can accept the odd excuse, like, you know, I didn't have the best training camp, or my arm hurt, whatever it may be. I can accept that, but what Deontay's came out with, it has been absolutely ridiculous. He's taken no responsibility whatsoever for his shortcomings, so that lends me to believe he's not going to work on his deficiencies. If you've got an excuse for why you failed, you're not going to improve on what made you fail, if that makes sense. If you've got an excuse, you're not going to improve on why you came up short, and that's how I see Deontay Wilder. He's always believed in that power, and as a result, he's not improved as a fighter. Now he's lost. He can't accept responsibility, so he's not going to improve. He's just going to be this one-handed puncher. That's all Deontay Wilder will ever be. So, listen, I think it's a long way back for Deontay. I really do. It's a long way back. But, you know, best of luck to him. He can still be involved in some real good fights. But, you know, he needs to make some changes. Internally, I mean. Easily, I would say easily, big boys. Genuinely, I think he knocks him out. Big up to Intangible Boxing News every single time. Bump of K as well. Big up to Bump of K. Yeah, can't wait for Rolly Romero. Christ almighty. Jesus, Rolly Romero. Can't believe that guy's got an interim title, by the way. Rolly Romero. He is useless. Honestly, I think James Tennyson would knock that guy out in a couple of rounds. Genuinely. He's terrible. He's absolutely awful. Shit, I lost where I was now. Yeah, I'll see that video on my subscription feed, Big Dan. I've not seen it yet, man. But big up to Big Dan. I need to shout you out on my community section, Big Dan. I keep on meaning to do that. I will do it eventually. I'll get around to it. Trust me. Trust me. Yes, hit the like, exactly. Big up to Mad Chad. Smack the likes. Yeah, it's pay-per-view in the UK on BT Sports, mate. BT Sports. It's like 20 quid. Yeah, I think it's 20 quid. So what's that, $30 maybe in the States? So it's not too bad. I'm not going to buy it, though. Fuck that. I ain't going to buy it. I think Usyk versus Joyce for the interim title is a good solution. Winner of Undisputed drops the belt, and Usyk Joyce winner fights Parker Farr winner in the next fight. Yeah, that's a good solution. It's a good solution. I've got no problem with that at all. It's going to give us some good fights at the end of the day. I really like that Usyk Joyce fight as well. It's a much different fight the first time around in the World Series of Boxing. Joyce has improved a lot, as has Usyk. In a 12-round fight, it's going to be a different circumstance. So Usyk versus Joyce is really interesting to me. Really interesting. Should be a good one. Should be a good one, man. Hang on, let me open that shit up. What are we doing here? Fuck me. Click the wrong fucking tab. Taylor's a bit flat-footed and Fury ducks his head and has bad conditioning, bodied. Yeah, Taylor's definitely a bit flat-footed. And I agree with you on Tyson Fury as well. Not in regards to the conditioning, though. I think Tyson Fury's conditioning is pretty good for a heavyweight. Charlo versus Plant would give Charlo Charlo the chance to have a belt at 168 and make him relevant for Canelo. Usyk said he would want to fight Wilder, and then Fury AJ winner would have only one mandatory. Yeah, it's a good shout, Mullers. It's a good shout. I can't lie. Listen, if we get any of those fights that you've mentioned, I'll be more than happy, and I'll be very intrigued about all of them. So, listen, I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right, to be honest. Exactly, yeah. Those CKB boys' stamina and conditioning is premium. Guys like Cooker and Adesanya have the skills to go with it. Very tough to beat. I agree. Yeah, like Adesanya, he's moving up in weight to fight the Polish dude. That's going to be an interesting fight. That's a very risky fight as well, man. Do you know what, Crazy D3? I bottled it, mate. I was looking at footage of Angelo Leo. And basically, my original mindset was was Fulton on points. Now I've watched a bit of Leo. I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. So I'm sitting on the fence. I think it's a real evenly matched fight. I don't know. It's a hard one to call. I don't think it's going to end in a knockout, I'll say that much. But I think it's going to be close and competitive. But I'm not sure, really, mate. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. I think I might have overrated Fulton a little bit going into it and underrated Leo. It's a good fight, though. Yeah, exactly. One trick pony. Yeah, exactly. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, and he's not got the attitude to learn, you know. Listen, Deontay Wilder, as a young fighter, obviously he was raw. He was a late starter, but he had great raw potential. He had the reach, the height and reach. He had the power. He had the speed. You know, he was imposing. He had all of the raw attributes to be a good heavyweight. But to me, he was never really built up correctly. Never had the right learning fights, and his attitude as well has stunted his growth as a fighter. It's a shame, really, because there was a lot of raw ingredients there with Deontay Wilder. But to me, he never made the most of his raw potential, Deontay Wilder. If you look at Deontay Wilder in the amateurs, in the Olympics, the guy looks extremely raw. However, he was throwing combinations. He was throwing the left hook. He was working the body, believe it or not. In the amateurs, he was throwing a lot more combinations, trying more things. But he never built on that at all. He kind of turned into this one-handed power puncher, you know? And yeah, Deontay... Listen, man, Deontay is a big wasted chance in boxing in America, because that guy had the aura of a heavyweight champion. He had the gift of the gab, whether you liked him or not. He had the energy. That guy could have been a big fucking star, Deontay Wilder. Whether it be a heel or a face, whatever you want to call it, he could have been a massive star, Deontay. He really could have. But, you know, I think they played it wrong. I really do. I think they played it wrong. That's just my opinion. You know? Just my opinion. Not much, Big Dan, to be honest with you, mate. Not much at all. The most notable thing that's happened recently was Josh Warrington vacating his belt. That's really it. I agree with that intangible. I think Nietes has been out for too long. And I don't think that offbeat style of his is going to be enough to offset Roma Gonzalez. Nietes is a real crafty boxer, kind of fights in his own rhythm. He's really tricky, but I don't think he's got enough to beat Gonzalez. You know, I really don't, even now. I don't think Nietes ever beats Gonzalez, personally. I'd like to see it, though. I'd like to see it. So, do I think Warrington is ducking Galahad? To me, it all depends on it depends on who Warrington fights after his tune-up. If he fights a bum, then it's a duck. If he fights Gary Russell Jr. or even Cans you, I'll give him a pass. It all depends on who he fights. But yeah, if he can't get a fight, then it looks like a duck. I can't argue with it. And if you think it's a duck now, I'm not going to argue with you. To be honest, I'm not going to argue with you. Big up to Apology every single time. Hopefully you're doing well, Apology. Yeah, Khabib is very good, man. He had one hard fight, Khabib, where a few people felt he lost. I forget the guy's name. I forget the guy's name he fought, but he's had one fight where like he looked human, basically. But yeah. Boo Boo's being a clown. So he's re-signed with Matchroom, and I listened to an interview on Twitter where he said basically, why would I go to Top Rank over PBC when I can get paid to fight the likes of Luke Keeler? That's what he said in an interview. So listen, the narrative that Demetrius Andrade is avoided is completely wrong. The guy has no ambition whatsoever, in my opinion. He's happy to fight these guys, pick up paydays, and keep that belt hostage. If he gets a big fight, he's going to want a lot of fucking money. So Demetrius Andrade can go. Right now, I'm not interested, in all honesty. I'm really not. I want to see this guy fight Golovkin, you know? That's what I want to see, but it's not going to happen, man. Big up to John Gonzalez, my favourite Texan. Big up to John Gonzalez every single time. Every single time. Yeah, I like Ade. He's doing extremely well for himself. Extremely well for himself. I'm sure he's an inspiration for a lot of people on YouTube who do this boxing thing. Like me personally, I'm not looking to become a journalist. I'm just some cunt who talks about boxing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's doing a great job, Ade. Again, like everybody on this platform, there's nobody on this platform who I agree with 100% of the time, but I like his content. I like his content. Beyonce thought she could beat everybody with one punch knockout. Exactly, bro. And again, that made him... It gassed him up, you know? He believed one punch was always going to bail him out, and he didn't work on anything else. He didn't work on the jab, the left hook, the defense, the back foot boxing, the clinching, the head movement, whatever you want to say. He never worked on anything else. And it's, you know, he's paying the price for it now. He paid the price for it on February 22nd. You know, his game was well and truly exposed that night. They had an IBF purse bid on Zoom. It was the IBF, Josh and Barry, and then the PBC entered a call, made a bid, and Warrington said he's not fighting out. Interesting. See, I heard that the PBC won that purse bid for 50k. That's it. And that's why Warrington basically vacated. Because that's fuck all money, let's be honest, but... Yeah. Not surprised. Big up to Jim McDonald as well. Big up to Jim McDonald. Boo Boo is doo-doo and I don't like him. Yeah, his style to me is very unappealing. Like, you can see with certain fighters, when they're fighting C-level fighters, you can see what talent they have. To me, Andrade's always been overrated. His punch technique is horrible. Like, have you seen how the guy throws a left hook? He slaps. He's cuffing. I think he's a real ugly fighter to watch, Andrade. He's got a good jab, but that's really it for me. His jab is decent, and his straight is decent as well, but that's really it. I don't think Andrade is that great at all. Rip Gerald Quigley, damn. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. Do you ever have a panel? I'm gassed. Now, listen, man, I plan on having panels again in the near future, but right now we're going to keep it like solo kind of shit. But yeah, in the future we'll get panels again. I kind of took a step back from the whole panel shit on YouTube, to be honest with you, because all the same topics come up about fucking Joshua Fury and all that shit. I'd rather just talk the breeze with you guys kind of thing. see what comes up and go from there. But yeah, we'll get panels back on in the near future. There's certain guys on here who I'd always talk to, and they know who they are. So yeah, we'll get panels again. No, don't worry about it. This is a good question. Will Andrade fight Williams or vacate and try and get the super champ status at 168? To be honest, I've got no problem either way because the Williams fight's interesting, and at 168 he fights Saunders. So either way, I'm not particularly bothered what happens in regards to that. I kind of want to see Liam Williams get his shot, to be honest. I want to see whether this guy's truly improved or not, or whether it's just a mirage because he's not fighting anybody decent. Yeah, I kind of want to see the Williams fight personally. And also, Billy Joe might be fighting Canelo. So, yeah, I'd imagine Williams is more realistic. Ioka talking about fighting in UA, the monster 5-weight division. That's a fight. Yeah, exactly, bro. Listen, Ioka's got a chance, man. You can never write him off. He's a brilliant fighter, but Inoue is a big dude, man. He's a bigger dude between the two, a harder puncher, younger, fresher. I think Inoue would take that fight, and you guys know I rate Ioka. I picked him to beat Tanaka, but I think Inoue would be a step too far. However, I want to see it. I want to see this guy try to be great. He's already great in my opinion, but even greater. Why not, man? Fuck it, go for it. That's what boxing's about. That's what boxing's about, man. Do you think the WBA 147 title is going to UGAS, and then it will be Spence versus UGAS, PBC in-house fight, their favourite matchup? Yeah, I could see it happening, Mullers. I could see that happening because Manny Pacquiao's not fought since July 2019. We're January 2021 now, so it's been a long time for Manny Pacquiao, so I could see that happening. And Spence versus UGAS, not the fight we really want to see, but at the same time, not a terrible fight either. I'd watch it, but I wouldn't be up in arms about it either, kind of thing. I could see it. Yeah, I could see that happening. Big up to Jim. Big up to Jim. Yeah, check out Jim's videos, by the way, lads. He's got some old fights on there. Big up to Jim, man. Doing the boxing fans a favour, putting old fights on there. Big up to Jim. I think it's possible, MMA champ. I favour Tyson Fury 60-40 kind of thing. But like people saying Joshua's got no chance, I think they're being, I don't know, I think they might be underrating Joshua a bit. And Joshua's got his problems going into that fight. I've got some concerns about Joshua, but Joshua's got a chance. No doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, I fucking opened some random shit in the background. Hang on. Fuck off. Those are random tabs open in the background. I promise it's not porn either. It's definitely not porn. No, it's not. Yeah, I've got it as Magic Man. I was going to do a prediction, but I kind of bottled it. Quite frankly, I'm really unsure on who wins that fight. I was back in Stephen Fulton all the way through. Then I watched a bit more of Angelo Leo, and now I'm unsure. I think Stephen Fulton is the better natural boxer between the two, like technically more sound, but he's not as active as Angelo Leo. Leo throws a lot of fucking punches. He's got quick hands, he works a lot, so it's a hard fight to call. Neither guy's going to get knocked out, in my opinion. I could see it being close and competitive, maybe controversial either way, but I'm sitting on the fence. I rarely do that. I rarely sit on the fence. But yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence. It's a good fight, though. Yeah, I think Joshua's got to be relatively aggressive in that fight. And that's why I believe Tyson Fury being aggressive is risky for him, risky for Fury. Because like I said, Joshua's not Deontay Wilder. If Tyson's aggressive against Joshua's got a lot more weapons to combat that with. He's got power in both hands. He's a better combination puncher. He's got faster hands than Wilder. A better punch variety than Wilder. We've seen him use that pull counter right hand, where he takes a half step back and throws that pull counter right hand. He's got a beautiful uppercut, great left hook. Joshua's got a lot more weapons to catch Tyson coming in than Deontay did. So I think Tyson being aggressive in that fight is very risky. If Tyson boxes Joshua, I fully expect Tyson to win unless Joshua lands a big punch, because Tyson's a much, much better boxer on the outside. It's not close to me. But if Tyson's aggressive, damn, I think it's risky. That's what I'm saying. I hope that second Wilder fight hasn't gassed up Tyson Fury too much. I hope he's not overconfident, because I think Joshua's the worst guy that you want to do that against. Yeah, that's how I feel. Layoff Throne of a difference maker. What in regards to the Fury one? Big up to Josh, by the way. Big up to Josh. Yeah, Fury's definitely got better stamina. The chin to me's, it's comparable to me. But yeah, Fury's definitely got better stamina. No doubt about it. Oh, Benavidez, bro. Benavidez right now. I don't rate Berlanga all that much. He's a strong kid with genuine power. We can see that. But I've not seen a jab. I've not seen him cut the ring off against a guy who can move. I've not seen him take a shot. He's just kind of come forward, throws big power shots, and that's really it. I'll tell you what, a good fight for Berlanga is Rosado right now. Gabe Rosado could go a few rounds, show him a few angles, take him a few rounds. It could be a good fight for him. Could be a good fight. Fury is better at everything than Joshua, other than punching power. Everything. Fury's better than Joshua in a lot of areas. To me, Fury's stronger in more areas than Joshua is. But I don't know about I actually think Joshua might be a better combination puncher. In terms of the speed of his combinations, the crispness of punches, the punch technique, I think Joshua is a better combination puncher than Fury, believe it or not. Fury's got quick hands, and he can put his shots together really quickly. But if you look at some of his shots, a lot of those shots aren't technically very good. Particularly with the left hook, he slaps a lot Tyson Fury. I think punch technique, Joshua is actually better in a lot of areas. But yeah, Tyson's better in most areas to me. But I just think it's closer than people are giving it credit for. But that's my opinion. Again, I don't really have a dog in that fight. I'm not really a big fan of either guy. So I would lean towards Fury, but I wouldn't be surprised if Joshua wins either. Oh, this is a good question. World Boxing Super Series, what weights would you like to see this year? I think I would say light heavyweight, but Top Rank aren't really interested in the World Boxing Super Series. So I would actually rule out light heavyweight if we're talking about realistically. So the World Boxing Super Series, to me, I think a great division right now is obviously Super Flyweight. I think Super Flyweight would make a lot of sense because, look at the guys at Super Flyweight. A lot of these guys are on the Zone, who obviously show the World Boxing Super Series. Estrada, Gonzalez, Rung Vasai, all of these guys are their own fighters. You could get Ioka in there, Maloney maybe, Tanaka. I think Super Flyweight would be a really good World Boxing Super Series. That would be my ideal division right now. I would say Super Flyweight for the World Boxing Super Series. And also maybe as well Flyweight, because they've got, again, if you look at the Zone fighters, they've got Julio Cesar Martinez, Angel, who else have they got? Sorry. Who else was it? Oh, fuck. They could, I think they could work Flyweight as well. With Martinez, Maflane, Acosta, Delakian. I would say Flyweight and Super Flyweight for World Boxing Super Series. That's what I'd say anyway. Opinions on Jaime Munguia, good fighter. Strong, aggressive, good punch output, good chin, relentless, defensively inept, but he's a fun fighter. He'll give guys problems, but I don't think he's not going to beat the top guys at middleweight, in my opinion, but he'll give guys problems. He's a good fighter all around. Yeah, he has been knocked down many times, yeah, but he has got up, like Benjo says. He has got up, yeah, he has. Fury's got great recovery. Brilliant recovery. Recovery and heart goes to Tyson Fury all day long. Is it crashing? Hopefully it's not my side, bro. Hopefully it's not my side. But if my internet has been a bit dodgy recently, so it might be me. If anybody else is a bit choppy, let me know. I think if Fury intelligently pressures Joshua with feints and good footwork plus some body shots, he can possibly get out Joshua and then maybe stop him late. Yeah, you could definitely see that, Magic Man. You could definitely see it. But to me, it just gives Joshua more of a chance to land those big power shots. I just think it gives Joshua more of a chance. Like I just don't see I don't see Joshua boxing with Fury all that effectively. That's what I would do if I was Tyson. But we'll see. I agree, Crazy. I agree. I think Joshua does turn his punches over better than Fury. I agree. I do think I think Tyson's better with his jab though. Tyson's jab is more it's got more variety to it. To be honest, he can double it up. He'll feint with a jab. He can set things up off a jab. He can jab going forwards. He can jab going backwards. To me, Tyson's jab's a lot more effective. He can flick jab. He can power jab. Fury's jab is better than Joshua's, but in terms of like power punches, I think Joshua's punch technique's a lot better. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Mad Chad, I wouldn't be surprised. I could see it being boring as well. There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake, and you could see both guys fighting within themselves, kind of thing. Yeah, it could be boring. It could be boring. Yeah, Fury can win a 12-round stinker for sure against Joshua, but will Fury's ego get the better of him and make him seek a KO? Maybe, but this is one of those fights where I'd hate to be the loser because you're never going to live it down. It's going to be hanging over your head for years and years to come until you die. So I think Fury would take a boring win. I really do. It's an interesting fight, man. It's an interesting fight. Yes, a good shout. Fury's clinch game in this fight. Yeah, Fury's clinch game is very good. Whereas Joshua's, to me, not so good. And by the way, I think Tyson Fury might be stronger than Joshua as well in the clinch. I think Tyson Fury is surprised. I think Wilder was shocked how strong Tyson Fury was in that second fight. Where do you see Dubois going? That sort of eye injury is seriously worrying. Some fighters never quite recover. You're right. I mean, look at Antonio Margarito, for example. Kell Brook as well. These guys never really recovered. But where do I see Dubois going? I think we'll see him back in the ring late summer. I would say he fights a cab driver to get a bit of confidence. And then after that, he needs to be stepped up correctly. So maybe, after his tune-up fight, maybe someone like Marius Wack, a guy who can take him rounds, may throw a few punches back. I think Marius Wack could be a good test for Dubois on his comeback. He needs to be matched correctly, though, against sort of durable guys who have been there, seen better days, but still decent enough. But they're the sort of guys Dubois should be fighting soon, someone like Marius Wack. But it's a long road back for Dubois. But I'm assuming he'll fight a cab driver, and then God knows what happens after that. But I'd say Marius Wack would be a good fight for Huey. Someone along those lines. Because he was woefully underprepared in that fight with Joe Joyce. Timmy's got Joshua by knockout. Can definitely happen. If Spence can come back, I'm sure Dubois can. Yeah, indeed. But he never. But not only that though. Like you got to take into account. Like that defeat was an emotional defeat. Like he took it like he fucking like bent the knee and he bent the knee under the pressure of another man. That's an emotional loss to take. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's not just the injury, it's the manner of the loss. People calling you a quitter, questioning your heart. It's a lot to come back from for a young guy. And I think he needs this time out, not just to recover physically, but mentally. He needs to really, really work out whether he wants to box. I know that sounds drastic, but the impression I get with Daniel Dubois is that he was basically forced into boxing at a young age by his father. And they've basically admitted that he was groomed to be a boxer. And to me, Daniel Dubois, when you hear him talk, when you see him interact with people, to me, he seems like a guy who's not had a childhood. He's like Peter Pan. Like his social skills they've not really been developed. I think he's missed out on a lot, man. And I wonder whether he wants to box, whether he enjoys boxing, or whether he just does it because his dad put him into it. I'm not sure with Dubois. I think there's a lot more there than meets the eye. Pardon the pun. I really do. I think there's a lot more to Dubois than meets the eye, and how hard it's going to be to come back. But I might be wrong. Who knows? I'd like to see him back. He's exciting. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he comes back. But we'll see. Fury beat an overrated bum in his last 2 fights. Fury's not that great. Yeah, Wilder was definitely overrated. I wouldn't call him a bum. He was very dangerous, but he was a one-dimensional fighter. That's what I'm trying to say. Joshua's not one-dimensional. But right now, Fury is the best in the world, as far as I'm concerned. You know, he beat Klitschko, he beat Wilder. I think he's best in the world right now. No doubt. Like Big Dan said, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say by far, though. Again, I think it's closer than people believe, but we'll see. Exactly. Big up to Jim McDonald. Only thing about Harold Shipman is a lot of his opponents were past it, and he just jabbed them to death. Yeah, big up to Harold. Again, that's who Deontay can learn from. If Deontay has half as good a jab as Harold Shipman, he would beat Joshua and he would beat Tyson Fury. Simple as that. That jab was lethal, man. Absolutely lethal. Oh, dear. I agree, Bad Nesha. I totally agree. Exactly, Crazy D3. Sounds really fucking rude, yeah, and really judgmental. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Dubois was still a virgin, like straight up. He comes across to me like that sort of dude. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think this guy has been... honestly, I think this guy's missed out on so much as a kid. Like, he's not been in certain situations where he's developed as like a man. He is like a man-child, and I don't mean that as an insult. You know, I don't mean it as an insult. I know it always sounds like that, but I always kind of feel for Daniel Dubois for some reason. I really do. And I really hope he comes back and has success. Because I like him. I want him to do well, but it's a lot to come back from. It's a lot to come back from. Yeah, I find the mental side of Daniel Dubois fascinating. Hatman did a stream about it a while back, trying to imagine him out at a club or dating like a normal 23-year-old is so strange. There is something off. I agree, Matt. And yeah, I totally agree with Hatman. Yeah, totally agree. And it's, again, I'm rooting for him. I like Dubois. I really do. I really do. Listen, Wilder's definitely done well for himself, Big Dan, especially why he came into boxing, you know, for his daughter who was ill or she had like a disability. Like, Wilder's intentions were pure. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. Wilder had all of the ingredients to be a megastar. Like, the story, the style, the ability to talk, you know. Yeah, he had everything, but to me, he wasn't groomed correctly as a fighter. Never got the learning fights at all. He got corrupted by bad influences, in my opinion. And to me, Wilder never really realised his potential. That's how I see Deontay Wilder. Dubois spends his free time doing jigsaws, and his favourite biscuit as a treat is rich tea. He says it all. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I like Dubois as well, G-Man. Hatman made his theory that Dubois is a, yeah. I know what you're trying to say. G-Man. By the way, big up to G-Man every single time. Big up to G-Man. G-Man, I swear me and G-Man have like pretty similar thought patterns in regards to this whole YouTube thing, because he made a video the other day on Sergey Kovalev, basically like a career review. And I shit you not, like the night before, I was thinking, I really need to make this fucking Kovalev career review. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And there G-Man is. The next day, he's done his fucking Kovalev career review. Damn. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. But I'll do mine. I'll do mine in a few weeks. But big up to G-Man every single time. Great minds think alike. Big up G-Man. Yeah, I'm wishing him the best as well, no doubt. Who's consumed more adrenochrome, Bob Arum or David Attenborough? David Attenborough, no doubt whatsoever, Big Dan. No doubt whatsoever. Yeah, I agree, Crazy. Yeah, I again, Brennan, I totally agree, but it's impossible. There's too many territories. It's not going to work in boxing. It's far too fragmented as it is. Like for that to ever happen in the foreseeable future, it's not going to happen. And that was the whole discussion about sanctioning bodies. People are saying sanctioning bodies should be abolished or boycotted. What's the alternative, though, to sanctioning bodies? Eddie Hearn was saying we can make our own belts. What does that mean? Well, that means promoters make their own belts. These cunts don't work together anyway. If these cunts had their own belts, they're going to be even less likely to fucking work with each other. Like if the PBC have a belt, Top Rank have a belt, these guys aren't going to fight each other. It's hard enough. It's hard enough now. I'm telling you, a lot of people, we complain about the sanctioning bodies, as we should do, because some of the bullshit they do is ridiculous. However, the alternative could be a lot fucking worse. But nobody thinks about the alternative. They'll say, oh, let's get rid of sanctioning bodies. Let's get rid of sanctioning bodies. But I've not heard one viable solution to sanctioning bodies. I've not heard one viable solution. Not one. And people say one sanctioning body again. These cunts fight once a year. If you've got a champion with one sanctioning body fighting once a year, there's going to be a whole host of guys who never get to fight for a title. One sanctioning body will not work in this day and age. It just won't. We don't live in the age where these guys fought 10 times a year. So, listen, just my little rant. Just my little rant. But there we go. I just don't see the alternative to sanctioning bodies. They need to be reformed, certainly, but I don't see the answer being getting rid of them either. I agree, Copend. I agree. I think he's got a good chance in that fight as well. I think he's got a pretty good chance. I might make a prediction video on that fight. It's an interesting one. I like that fight, yeah. It's a good fight. Bob's a triple OG, yeah. Getting high as a kite. Big up to Bob. Hey, turn it off. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious, man. Yeah, Bob's a joker, no doubt about it. I like Bob Arum. Don't get me wrong, Bob's full of shit as well, like every promoter is. But you know, Bob's an OG. Bob's an OG. I'm drinking like the worst coffee imaginable right now. What the fuck is this shit? Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things these sanctioning bodies need to fucking reform. Like, to me, a unification fight or like a undisputed fight should always exceed a mandatory. All the sanctioning bodies should universally agree upon that. If there's negotiations for a unification or undisputed fight, then that takes precedent over a mandatory. I think all of these guys could agree on that. That's a start. That's a start. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to take much. It won't take much to make the sanctioning bodies look a little bit better. Get rid of a couple of bullshit belts. Agree upon unifications and unifications and all that shit, and it'll be a lot better. It'll be a lot better. But again, they're not going to get rid of these belts because sanctioning fees. Why are the WBA going to get rid of their regular belt? It's another revenue stream. Why are they going to get rid of it? They're not going to. E-Machines 34. Do I think people are being too harsh on Canelo Yildirim? I don't think so. To me, like, the guy, a lot of people label him the pound for pound number one fighter in the world right now. I mean, when you look at the last few pound for pound number ones, like, name me a fight as weak as this. It's exceptionally weak. Like, Yildirim as an opponent is terrible for me. It's absolutely terrible. And the thing is, people can say it's a mandatory, which it is, but like, Derevianchenko was mandatory for Canelo and he vacated. Golovkin was mandatory and he vacated. Like, he can't really use that excuse when he's not shown any respect for mandatories in the past. Can't suddenly now respect mandatories because it's an easy touch. I'll put it this way: if David Benavidez was Mando, do you think he would have still? Would Canelo fight Benavidez if it wasn't Yildirim? If Benavidez was Mando, would Canelo fight him? I'm not sure. I'm not certain about that. I'm really not. But there we go. You might be right, Big Dan. You might be right. Yeah, I agree, Josh. I totally agree. Nothing will clean up boxing. It's been crooked and corrupt for 150 years. Yeah, exactly, bro. That's what the sport is built on. Mobsters, criminality, corruption. That's what boxing's built on. Even certain guys in boxing right now, guys like Bob Arum, for example, paying off the IBF all those years ago. All of these guys are crooks, man. There's no doubt about it. They're crooks, liars, charlatans. But we'll come back and keep watching. Boxing's like that fucking hot chick that you shouldn't really be fucking with, but you do anyway. That's what boxing's like. You're going to get your heart broken, but that's what boxing's like. You keep going back, innit? You keep going back. Franchise Canelo fighting his Mando because he wants undisputed says a lot for franchise. Exactly, bro. What happened to that? What happened to Canelo's franchise status? What happened to that as well? It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Yes, brilliant film. That's my favorite boxing film. Ben Haynes. See, I've never been a fan of the Rocky movies. Never been a fan of the Rocky movies. But Raging Bull to me is the best boxing movie of all time. Is it a coincidence that Box Nation have started showing fights again since DAZN pitched up on the UK shores? Yes, it's a very good point, actually. Very good point, Cop Ends. I get Box Nation for free anyway, so in my package. So hopefully they start getting some of these international shows. I'd enjoy that. I'd enjoy it. I've not seen The Fighter. I've not seen The Fighter. Again, I'm not a massive fan of boxing movies. I'm not a big fan of boxing movies. I never have been for some reason. Yeah, smash for like, lads. By the way. So I'm not again, Big Dan. Not for me, man. Not for me. Not for me. Never saw the appeal. Maybe I'm just being like a fucking hipster or something, but I've never seen the appeal. What do you think the landscape of British boxing looks like in 10 years' time? Very interesting. Obviously, with what's going on right now with Corona, I think a lot of guys who are boxing as an amateur or at small hall level, a lot of these guys could leave the sport and leave the sport forever. I think this period of time right now is going to do a lot of damage for British boxing. Not going to be seen right away, but in the future it will be. I think we could have a lost generation of fighters where their development was stunted because of this, or they just completely left the game. I think that's one big factor going into 10 years' time. And obviously, I think right now our amateur circuit isn't as good as it was back in like 2012, 2008. I don't think the level of fighters coming through are what they were a few years back. So I don't know. I think in 10 years, I think we could go for a barren stage. After Joshua Fury, once that's all settled, like once Joshua's retired, once Fury's retired, once White's retired, all of these big name heavyweights, I could see UK boxing going back to like a mini dark age kind of thing, like a little, I guess you would say a depression almost in terms of talent. That's what I could see. Like similar to boxing after like Calzaghe and Hatton retired. When it was only David Haye fighting, like David Haye was the only guy, like similar to that era. I could see that sort of era coming back in a few years in British boxing. Never seen Warrior, never seen it. That's true, crazy D3. It's an eternity in any sport, but I don't know. I think we're going to head for a quiet spell in British boxing rather soon. Probably less than 10 years, actually. Never seen it. Never seen it, E-Machines. Never seen it. Never seen it. I agree. Rambo's much better than Rocky. Love Rambo. Even the latest Rambo movie I quite enjoyed, actually. Weren't bad at all. Exactly, Copend. I can't disagree, Copend09. I can't disagree. I can't disagree. And I think the virus has just made it going to make it even worse in the long run. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure how well these guys are going to turn over Padger to the professional ranks. I'm not convinced by the professional coaches in the UK. I think a lot of these guys need to start look at going abroad to America, because we see guys like Josh Kelly, Cordina, Anthony Fowler, these sort of guys. None of these guys impress me. We see all these British fighters, ex-GB guys, going to America and getting smashed up, like Callum Smith, for example. Like the pro coaching in the UK, to me, is not taking these guys to the next level. I think that's one big problem that a lot of these guys have turning pro in the UK, is the level of coaching right now is poor, as far as I'm concerned. Guys like Dave Coldwell and fucking all these guys, Joe Gallagher. I'm not convinced that these guys can take these great amateurs, and develop them as great pros. But there we go. Just my opinion. Yeah, those old Maloney shows. Yeah, exactly. Sky Sports Fight Nights, I think they was called. G-Man. Yeah, there was in some dingy town hall or some shopping centre. Yeah, like in the middle of like Walsall or something like that. Fucking Lincoln, random places. They'll be in some random ass places. Yeah. Yeah, I said this the other day. In terms of quality of product, I think 2017 was like the last really good year, like for like proper quality product in the UK for a boxing fan. Because in 2017 we got Joshua Klitschko, fucking Spence versus Brook. We had some real good fights that year in the UK. I think Burnett versus Zakyanov was in 2017 as well, unification fight. We had some really good fights that year. But yeah, to me, it's just right now it's stagnating a lot in the UK. Take away Joshua Fury and White, I think it's really starting to stagnate. To be honest, take away the heavyweight scene, basically. Yeah, exactly, G-Man, exactly. I still don't know why any coach would go to Joe Gallagher. Like if you're like a successful amateur, yeah, you maybe you medaled in the Commonwealth Games or the European Championships or even the Olympics. If you're coming out of the amateurs as a success, why would you go to a Bobby Basic coach like Joe Gallagher? I don't get it. I really don't. Really don't. Yeah, I enjoyed the 2016, 2017 era of boxing. See, back then, I was praising Eddie Hearn on the regular. Like, to me, he was delivering some real good shows, fights we wanted to see, you know. But to me, the last 2 years in particular, like last 2, 3 years, have been pretty substandard to me. Yeah, Scottish boxing's doing very well. Obviously, you've got Josh Taylor, the most well-known guy, but Lee McGregor, Ukashir Farouk to me is a real good prospect as well. I think that kid could go a long way. Ukashir Farouk, I think he's very good. But Josh Taylor, that guy's going to be an undisputed champion in my opinion. Awesome fighter. Big up to Ross Charlton as well. Yeah, we had 13 champions around 2016. Yeah, imagine that, crazy D3. Imagine that. Joe Gallagher winning. I think, yeah, Trainer of the Year, Joe Gallagher. Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. Joke, man, joke. I think when British title cards could fill arenas, then Sky were happy. Without fans, it's going to be hard to push fighters now. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Big up to Ross again. Big up to Ross. Do you rate Adam Booth? I heard he injures boxers because his training is not good for non-explosive boxers. Yeah. Adam Booth's a weird one for me. I think if your style fits him, I think he can be a very effective coach. But to me, he's kind of he's made for a certain type of fighter. To me, a world-class coach, a true world-class coach, can work with any style or many styles. Someone like Emmanuel Stewart, for example, even Freddie Roach, dare I say, Robert Diaz, sorry, Robert Garcia. people forget Joe Gallagher's literally the reason Scott Quigg is now slurring after the Carroll fight, kept him in just to get CT to save face. Absolute disgrace. Yeah, he should have been pulled out in like round 9 in that fight. About round 9, I would say, because he wasn't winning that fight. Tyson versus Vitaly Klitschko. Tyson would have a real hard time getting to Vitaly in terms of like hurting him and knocking him out. I might say Tyson close points, but I think it's a hard fight stylistically. Like Vitaly had a great chin. I think Vitaly is actually a harder fight for Mike than Vladimir would be. I think Mike would get to Vladimir, but not Vitaly. I might pick Vitaly, you know. I might pick Vitaly. 1 second. I'm back. Sorry about that. Joe Gallagher, Dave Coldwell, and Tunde have you noticed when they're interviewed about their fighters, they're acting like promoters trying to sell them? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a lot of that in the UK, and a lot of these trainers, you know, seem to have a lot of close relationships with certain promoters. Like if you sign with Eddie Hearn as a young pro, you know these guys are going to get trained by Coldwell, you know, Tony Sims, you know, etc. They always go to the same people. So these trainers are in bed with promoters in the UK. And yes, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. Big up to Derek Rice as well. Big up to Derek Rice. Watching some Society's rejects on What Is Truth podcast. Fucking hell. Big up to AZ. Yeah, most of those 13 were paper champions. It does have to be said. Copend 09. Yeah, you're right. You're right. A lot of those guys were paper champions. Can't argue with that. Bollocks. Press the wrong button there. Yeah, McGregor's fighting on February 6th. Yeah, European title against Guerfri, Karim Guerfri, however you say his name. He's a decent fighter, so could be a good test for McGregor. I think McGregor's going to be too fresh, though. Guerfri's been around a little time. So, last stream, you was talking about Nikita Ababi. He is good to watch, but only has a plan A. It didn't work very well in his last fight, and he looked lost. Yeah, to me, he's kind of just a basic come forward guy. I don't think it's going to take much to see this guy get beat, to be honest. I don't really see a high ceiling of talent there with Nikita Ababi. He's marketable. He's quite fun to watch, but I don't see him going all that far, unfortunately. I really don't. Caleb Plant, good fighter. Nice jab, does all of the basics well, relatively slick, good defense. But I think he's overrated by a lot of people. I don't think he's as quick as people would have you believe. I think his gas tank to me is questionable. And he does get hit, and he gets marked up as well easily, man. To me, he doesn't look imposing. I can't see him giving Canelo any problems, and I think David Benavidez would walk through him. In all honesty, I really do. I think he lacks that power. If Caleb Plant had power to go with his style, he'll be very effective. But he doesn't. To me, he doesn't have that power, and I think Caleb Plant will come unstuck very, very soon once he steps up. What's your most beautiful championship belt? I would say WBC. WBC looks the best. Let's be honest about it. I know we fucking criticize them, but the WBC looks the best. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Dennis is an OG, Derek. He's an OG. So yeah, got a lot of respect for Dennis. Worked with Ricky Hatton back in the day. Yeah, he's been around a long time. Clinton Woods, obviously, as well. Yeah, I mean, Dennis has done a lot of stuff in the sport, but these days he's kind of been frozen out, kind of been squeezed out of the game. Doesn't have the funds, doesn't have a TV deal, and he's not a factor right now. And quite frankly, I don't see him getting back into the big time. I really don't. I really don't. Bollocks. Keep on pressing the wrong things here. There we go. Boom. Yeah, I agree. LT. I think Benavidez beats him as well. I think that's one of those fights where Plant will start well in the early rounds. He'll be boxing behind the jab. He might win the early rounds. But I just think that size, that power and relentlessness of Benavidez is going to get to Plant. If you look at Plant versus Uskatigi, Plant started really quickly, dropped him twice, was boxing beautifully, but he was getting tagged up towards the end of that fight, flush, and his face was getting marked up. He was getting slightly buzzed. He was gassing out. Listen, Benavidez is going to knock Plant out late on. Trust me. He's going to grind him down and stop him. He might make him take a knee. Trust me, honestly. Benavidez is going to beat him. I guarantee you. He's going to break him. Benavidez will beat Plant. I'm sure of it. I've never been so sure in my life of any big fight, potential big fights. Never been so sure. I've heard this somewhere else. Is it true Klitschko's did occult things when he boxed? Do you mean Vladimir? I've heard that in regards to Vladimir, but I never really paid much attention to it. But it's interesting. I'll have to look. I'd have to research it. Sorry. Big up to Shepherd of Sons every single time. Big up to Shepherd. I wonder how long Warren has left. He's getting on a bit, been on his ass for years, and the current situation might just be the nail in the coffin. Then again, he has more lives than a fucking cat. Yeah, listen, if we get nuked tomorrow by fucking Russia, the only thing that's going to survive are the fucking cockroaches and Frank Warren. That's it. You know, he keeps on going. He keeps on soldiering forwards. He'll be around a little while longer, but I think Warren or Frank needs to maybe hand it over to his son. Not the fucking junkie one. He's got one called Francis, who's like a junkie or was a junkie, and there's another one. I think his name's George. George Warren could be a real good promoter because he's got that look, kind of like an Eddie Hearn look. You know, he's kind of gifted a gab. I think Frank needs to kind of hand it over now. To be honest, I really do. Yeah, I've heard this. Galahad's going to the PBC. Yeah, 4-fight deal apparently. Been offered a 4-fight deal with PBC, and it'd be ironic, wouldn't it? If Galahad's the one who wins the IBF and gets like the Russell fight, that'd be hilarious. And by the way, I think Kid Galahad gives Gary Russell some real problems. I'm not saying he would win, but I'm saying he'd give him problems. Galahad can box. He's fucking awkward. Yeah, there's Francis, there's George, and there's another son. I don't know the other one, Boxing Blunts. And Francis has a card in Poland soon. Interesting. That's an interesting link up in Poland, isn't it? Interesting. One fight a year deal. Yeah, the Klitschko bros. To me, the whole in regards to the Klitschko bros, especially Vladimir. To me, that guy comes across extremely disingenuous. I would say that guy's a piece of shit in real life, honestly. The guy just comes across so fucking corny, always kind of preaching about, you know, like just SJW nonsense. I would say Vladimir is a complete piece of shit in real life. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's a lovely guy. Maybe I'm being a cunt. Maybe I'm a cunt. But yeah, I don't like his energy, Vladimir Klitschko, at all. There's something off about him to me. I've always thought that. I've always liked him as a fighter, but as a person, I've always thought there's something off about Vladimir. I wouldn't trust him. I really wouldn't. So his eyes are too close together. But there we go. Anyway, lads, I'm going to wrap this one up. We've been going for, an hour and 20 minutes. Not too bad. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you could smash for like, it always helps us out. It really does. So smash for like. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll try and live stream again at some point next week as well. So big up to you guys. Peace.